today. It is, what is it? It is 9 September, year of our Lord 2025. Can you believe it's already September? That's crazy. This is my favorite time of the year. Uh, we're you're here in personal finance. This is our live stream, our weekly lecture. So we'll get started in just a minute, but I wanted to mention, I hope you're having a blessed day. This is my favorite time of the year. Every day is filled with eager anticipation of a cool breeze from the north. And this morning, it's Tuesday. It's a beautiful, sunshiny day. Kind of reminds me of September 11th, 2001. It was a very similar day. Very cool, very crisp, blue skies. I was driving to work on that day, September 11th, and I remember where I was when I heard about those planes flying into the towers. Although that's not really the topic for today. This day, this beautiful Tuesday, reminds me of that day a little bit. The weather, just the weather. And I love this time of year. Uh, so, anyway, here we go. We're going to talk about personal finance. We're going to talk about credit reports. This week's assignment for you, if you're in our course at the Bauer College of Business, this week's homework assignment will include getting a free credit report. So, we're going to talk about that. So, let's get started. Well, it's a little early to actually get started because uh, it's 10:01. So I usually wait a couple minutes in case folks want to join. I'm not even running the Zoom meeting today. We've had such a small turnout for the actual Zoom, and I've encouraged you to watch on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. Typically, this live stream to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. It was streamed, used to be streamed to X, but we're no longer doing X. And you have to have a premium membership at X, and I canceled that, so now I no longer can stream to X, which is fine. I think nobody ever told me they watched it on X. So at any rate, YouTube. My YouTube channel, by the way, just so you know, if you ever want to watch this live stream, it's at my YouTube channel at Jim Munchback. The video is always saved to the playlist at the end of after I'm done live streaming. I can't save it to the playlist while it's live streaming. At least if I can, I don't know how to do that. If you do know how to do that, please leave a comment and tell me how to do that, how to live stream into a playlist. That would be a really handy piece of information. So if you know how to do that, please, by all means, leave a comment below and I will send you a very um, robust thank you. Okay, here we go. I'm going to talk about, let's see, let's get everything. Everything seems to be set up. This is my studio. I am I am going to miss teaching. This is my last semester to teach. I'm taking a sabbatical in 2026, and so I've set up quite a studio here. It may not look like much, and it's really not. Um, well, it is what it is, but it's my little space here in Friendswood, Texas. This is a studio built out of my garage, in my garage, I should say. It's very well insulated, has climate control, and it's just one of my favorite spaces to work. So when I'm working my normal job, typically I'm working out of my RV nowadays, but I love coming home. I'm going to miss coming to teach every Tuesday. So here we go. Um, it is a beautiful little space. So we're going to talk about uh, what's coming up for this course, for this semester, for your work. And I wanted to just kind of touch base on Right Capital. Um, you guys you're doing a great job. We had some issues with the sign up page, but you guys seem, well, we've got it worked out between Right Capital and me posting the correct link. I apologize for those of you who had the old incorrect link. Thank you for your patience. But at any rate, it looks like you all are getting signed up, and that's great. So I'm going to cover a couple of things that I just want to make sure you know about as we get started in Right Capital. So um, one of the things I want to mention before we jump in is your early assignments. Now, I know many of you are taking advantage of the early assignments. A couple of you are still turning your assignments in late. If you do turn your assignment in late, that's fine with me. The syllabus is very clear about how that works for you. You get 1 point instead of 50. But if you don't turn an assignment in, if you just totally decide you're going to blow it off, that's fine too. You don't have to do every assignment, but you will get a 20-point deduction from your class participation or class collaboration score. So you have 200 points in this course for class collaboration. If you don't do an assignment, you lose 20 points. So if you do an assignment late, you get 1 point, but you don't get that deduction. What I'm trying to communicate again is if you turn your assignment in early, there are lots of benefits for that, including extra points. So please do that. If you turn your assignment in late and you send me an email and say, why did I only get 1 point? I'm going to tell you, watch the lectures. By the way, these lectures, while this is an asynchronous course, these lectures are required if you're a student in the course. If you're watching on YouTube, one thing I would suggest you do is hit the little gear and you can watch in double speed, double time. And so that that's something I would do if I were you. When I was in college, we didn't have the internet. We certainly didn't have YouTube, and we didn't have uh, the ability to watch our professors at double time. But I promise you, you can listen faster than I can talk. So if you're watching in the playlist, that's something you can do when you're watching on YouTube. But you do need to watch each of these lectures. They're all saved right here in this playlist. Okay, so let's kind of jump in and get kind of started. Let me turn this on, turn that off. So I'm going to cover a lot of little things really. We're going to talk about your credit report and your credit score. Um, Credit score is not what this week is about. However, credit scores are important. And so part of your homework assignment is to understand what is included in your FICO score. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So, but the main thing I want you to understand is that your credit report and your FICO scores are different. And that actually brings us to this week's secret class collaboration. So pay attention. Uh, by the way, every week we have excuse me, you have lots of opportunities to engage in conversations with your cohort. Mostly those are in Money Study Group, but you're welcome to create a conversation in the comments if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. That's cool. You don't have to do that, but you do need to engage in the discussions that are put there for you in Money Study Group. And so do that. That's the more you do that, the better. Again, 200 points is what you can earn for class collaboration. So feel free, grab those screenshots, include them in your assignment when you do your article. And that's how I know, when you turn in your assignment, you create one PDF and upload that with those screenshots. So um, do that. As many discussions as you want, but be sure to always uh, talk about this week's secret class collaboration. I'm looking for, I think I have, let me see if this works. Okay, hold on. Yeah, let me hide that. So this week's secret class collaboration, I'm going to just tell you what it is. It is the difference between a credit report and FICO scores. So I'm about to jump into the lesson, and you're going to have a homework assignment to get a free credit report. But you're also going to have a homework assignment to learn about your FICO scores. So, what this week's secret class collaboration conversation is about is I want you to talk to me or yourselves about the difference between a credit report and your FICO scores. So, we'll cover that in the lesson, and you'll see plenty of content in money study group in your homework assignment that will help you understand that. But for me to know that you watched this lecture, I want you to answer that question. That is the purpose of each week's secret class collaboration, is to ensure that you're watching the lectures. I know some students don't feel like you should have to do that. It's kind of like I feel about going to church. You know what? Just give me the homework. I'll do the homework. Don't let me go listen to this guy talk. But that's just not how it works. So, anyway, sorry for that little sermonette. Okay, let's get started. Back to it. Let me show this, hide this. So, credit report and FICO, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And you're going to learn about that, is really what I should say. But the difference, I'll tell you, credit report, that's something you're going to do. You're going to learn in your assignment. You're going to have a link to go get a free credit report. And that report is the main focus of this week's assignment and this week's lecture. Now, your FICO score is important. Most of you follow your FICO score, and that's good. And we'll talk about why that's good, but they're different. And your assignment is not to give me your FICO score. Your assignment is to get your free credit report. So, why get a credit report? We'll cover that. Talk a little bit about the benefits of improving your credit. The main obvious, hopefully that's pretty obvious, but the main benefit of having good credit is that you get lower cost for borrowing. And the biggest item you will ever borrow is your mortgage rates. So that is the introduction there. Let me see what we have for the next. Hold on, I've got a couple of things in the way here. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to hide that. Uh, I'm pushing buttons in case you can't see it. Let me just show you the buttons I'm pushing. So I have all these buttons down here, and when I push a button, things happen. So I've set up over the course of teaching this course, I've used these Stream Deck, and I'm going to miss them. I'm going to find another use for them, I promise you. I have lots of plans after we finish teaching, during the sabbatical. But anyway, I always like showing them off. So if I push this button, show, it'll bring up all these thingies uh, on the screen, these titles and whatnot. And I hope they're helpful and not too distracting. But anyway, that's what we're doing. And back to the credit, I'm going to jump on over. I'm going to hide that, talk about why credit report and FICO review. We've done, I'm pushing the wrong button. Why credit reports, benefits of improved credit, the cost to borrow, mortgage rates, better job offers. Yeah, that's an important one. Better job offers. I'm just going to mention real quick that better job offers is one that you may not know that your credit impacts the jobs that you're able to get. But I can tell you this, many companies, including I was a State Farm agent for many years. And while I was the business owner, I was the State Farm agent, it was my business. I was an independent contract agent. Okay. If you don't know how that works, it's a little different. Instead of being an employee, you're a captive agent, which means you can only sell products, insurance that are from State Farm. So you kind of own your business, you're responsible for it as a business owner, but in terms of the book of business, it's actually owned by State Farm. You couldn't turn around and sell it. But at any rate, as the employer, I had to hire people. That was my responsibility, to hire people. And State Farm, whenever I tried to hire someone on my team, I had to get it approved through State Farm. And the way that they would first check you, they do a background check, they would do all the things that an employer would do. And they would do that for my benefit as an agent. But the point is, one of the things they did is they checked your credit. So you could not work for a State Farm agent, and I'm sure it's still true. It's been a while since I've been a State Farm agent, but I hired a lot of folks, and I had a lot of folks who didn't get the job, even though they were great candidates. They did not get the job because they had bad credit. They were not demonstrating responsibility and paying their bills. They weren't demonstrating their ability just to manage their financial life. And that's what a credit report, a credit score, that's really what your credit is. It's your kind of your resume for how responsible are you with managing money. So at any rate, when it comes to better jobs, you should know that. It is definitely important. What's on your credit report? You're going to learn that. I'm going to spend a little time talking about it, but I'll just let you know it's personal information. All of your credit accounts are on there and credit inquiries. So that's part of what's on your credit report. Your FICO scores, I'm going to just tell you, there's a white paper that I posted in Money Study Group that goes over this way better than I could. And I'm just going to let you read it, review it, and there is a quiz. But your FICO score and understanding what's in your FICO score is pretty helpful, but it has your payment history. How much do you owe? How much credit do you have? It also includes, and these are each weighted by percentage, each of these elements in your FICO score. Length of credit history. How long have you had credit? So, one thing you'll learn is that it is good for you to have credit. If you have no credit, no credit accounts, you're not really building any credit history. And so it's a good idea to start a credit account for the purpose of developing a credit history. If you want to have a decent FICO score, and if you're ever going to get a bank loan, especially for a home, you want to establish credit. Another element is new credit. So if you're always applying for new credit cards, and every time you go shopping, you let them, uh, you know, offer you a new credit account. And everybody wants to do that. If you go buy a car, they're going to want to run your credit and offer you a credit on that vehicle from that dealer, from their finance department. Everybody wants to do that. And you should know that those create a little hit on your credit report, and they do impact your FICO score. And they're also, like I said, on your credit report. So the next thing I would talk about is your credit mix. Different types of credit have a different weight of, hold on here. I want to see if I can see what happens. What's on your credit report? There we go. That should be good. Sorry about that. So your credit mix is just the different types of credit that you have. Um, if you have a mortgage, for example, versus a credit card, which one of those do you think is going to be more beneficial for your credit score? Uh, Generally, it's a mortgage. Student loans are better than credit cards. But if you just think about what type of credit is backed by something that is easy to liquidate, like a home, it's easy. A home is good collateral. So, credit mix, um, report and score differences. Again, you're going to learn about that as you just jump in and learn more about FICO scores. But the report is the report. The report that you're going to get when you get your free credit report, you're going to see it has a lot of data on it. Right? Let me pause. Let me pause and say your credit report may have nothing on it. Okay, you may not even be able to get a credit report. In fact, if you don't have a social security number, you won't be able to get a credit report. Maybe you do have a social security number, but you have no credit accounts. In that case, your credit report is going to say basically you don't have any credit. And that's fine. I mean, in terms of your assignment, that's fine. The point here is what I want you to do with this credit report is I want you to see if there are any surprises on your credit report. Again, I'm not looking for your credit score. So if you turn your assignment in and you tell me all about your credit score, but you don't tell me about your credit report, you'll get a 0. It's not about your credit score, it's about your credit report. So remember, this week's secret class collaboration is tell me the difference between your credit report and your credit score, and you will learn that this week. um, you can also tell me why both of them matter. I mean, hopefully by now already you recognize that your credit report is kind of your way of identifying what's going on in your credit life, in your credit resume. That's a very important resume because it has all of the details of your financial life, your credit life anyway. And it's what creditors use to identify whether or not you are a good risk. And that determines whether or not you pay more or less for debt. And most of you are monitoring your credit score, but I would venture to say most of you have not gotten a free credit report. And I'm going to show you a link in Money Study Group where you can get a free credit report from 3 different uh, bureaus, credit bureaus. There are 3, I think there are 3, there may be more now. I know there are more, but there are 3 main ones. You're going to learn what they are, and that's on the quiz, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you'll see that. It's those 3 credit bureaus. You can get a free credit report once a year from each of them, so you can get 3 free credit reports a year. Uh, and I would encourage you to get one at least every year, probably twice a year. Listen, you're a college student. You may not know this, but you are a huge target for creditors. And by the way, credit is not a privilege, it's not a right, it's not an entitlement. Credit is a product. It is a product that will be constantly sold to you over your lifetime. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to work on the Credit Crush assignment, and I'm going to show you what I learned the hard way about credit, credit cards, how they work, credit accounts, how creditors use their product to put you in a vice if you're not careful, where you basically become uh, you become their customer for life by paying fees and interest uh, in perpetuity. So your balances go up, you keep paying, and you never get out of debt. That happened to me. I figured it out. My wife actually figured it out, and I'll show you that when we get into the Credit Crush assignment. But that's what I want you to learn. It starts with the credit report. It's just a good housekeeping thing to do. So you'll learn some tips for good credit. In fact, I think I have a couple tips for, um, I think I have some tips in Money Study Group. In fact, let me just check. I want to say that here, by the way, this is the post. When you jump into the comments of the video, you'll see a link, and this is the link. This is the post that link goes to. So that's what you're seeing on the page. And I do believe in here we have everything that I've been talking about, tips for maintaining. So if you just scroll down, there's a lot of information in this post. But again, if you're in the course in Money Study Group, there's a lot more content, including that white paper about your FICO score. So you're going to want to spend a little time reading this week as you prepare to do your assignment. And it's all here. Like I'm covering it, talking about it, but it's all right here. If you just spend a few minutes reading this report, you'll see that it's all here. And I'm just scrolling down to show you kind of what's in this. And I'm going to jump back now, take a take a minute away from the credit report and jump back into Right Capital because I want to kind of give you some basic information about Right Capital. Um, let me see. Let's see here. So I put on the screen some key differences between credit reports and FICO scores. If you want to take a screenshot, you'll have to pause the video and take that screenshot, but that summarizes the differences. And again, that's helpful your um, for your class collaboration. Um, Tips for good credit. I told you I had some of those, and they are in the post, but here's some again that you can see on the screen just for your information. Um, Obviously, paying your bills on time. It's a good tip. And by the way, last week I played that hilarious clip. I love that clip from Saturday Night Live about don't buy stuff. That's a great tip for your credit report and your credit score. Just don't buy stuff that you can't afford. I got that video got it violated copyright and I forgot because I had it in my little list here. And so I played it and it got the same thing happened last semester. I just totally forgot. It's so funny when I see it, I want to share it with you because it's perfect for this class. But anyway, it's not difficult to figure out the tips for good credit. It's really uh, common sense. But I wanted you to see that I did have some, and they're on the screen, and hopefully that's helpful. But they're in the post. Again, the post is linked in the comments, so check it out. Read your homework, uh, and that will be good. Let me see. I wanted to cover a couple misconceptions too. I think that was here. Misconceptions. Let me just jump in here real quick and see if we have misconceptions. Well, we do. We don't say much here. Let's see. Credit misconceptions, credit score misconceptions. Yeah, that's all just basic. Um, that's that. Okay. So that's the end of my screen show with all my little, um, whatever you call those, their captions and whatnot. But anyway, we do have lots of misconceptions. Some people think that checking your credit score hurts, or uh, your own credit hurts your credit score. So, in other words, getting your credit report. That does not hurt your credit score at all. Um, and there are more than one. This is another misconception. There's more than one credit score. FICO is the one we focus on. That's the one you'll see how it works. That's the most common one, but it's not the only one. So that's a little misconception. Some other misconceptions is that high income means a high credit score, and your income does not directly affect your credit score. In fact, I'll tell you this. When I was a State Farm agent, I was in zip code 77062, which, if you know that zip code, it's Bay Oaks Country Club. It's a very it's just at the time that I was a State Farm agent in 77062, that zip code was the second most wealthy zip code in the country. I think there was one in California that had a higher income. But the point is, I worked with lots of folks who had very bad credit because they had so much stuff. They had so much on credit that when you have too much credit, it affects your credit score. But I'm saying these folks had very high incomes, but they didn't all have very good credit scores. So, something we're going to talk about a lot this semester, this week. I just wanted to get you started with your credit report. So I'm gonna kind of, I'm gonna wrap this up soon. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about, um, hmm, somewhere in here I had, I'm looking for it. I'm sorry. I'm looking for, uh, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do this semester, but it has to do with Right Capital. And y'all are doing great so far. You've got signed up. If you haven't done that, do that. And we're going to start working in Right Capital. But I wanted to kind of start, just set the stage real quick. I'm looking, I had a specific screen I wanted to show you, but I'm not finding it. Sorry about that. Um, there's lots we're going to do in Right Capital, but first I want you to know that we're going to do something weird, something that's odd, something that you may not really want to do, but most of you are going to need to do it. And that is change your birthday. You're going to become 10 years older for this course. So you're going to, as we move into the next lectures and the next assignments, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to build some credit for yourself. Now it's make believe because obviously I'm not going to make you go out and get credit to get points in the course, but I am going to make you go out and get make believe credit so that I can teach you how credit works. So just trust me, please. When you go into Right Capital, make sure you go into your birthday and change your name. And that will, or not your name, but your birthday. Change your birthday. Um, yeah, I'm looking for, I had a screen. I'm so sorry. I am going to show you something, however, that I think will be helpful. Now, I'm looking at the post again that the link is in the comments. But right here, what we have is a detailed worksheet. And you might think of this as a budget, uh, but it's really just your expenses. Okay. It's not a budget, it's your expenses. So many of you thought that last week when you did the budget, you thought that this was it. Well, this is part of your assignment. It's required, but it's not just for the budget, it's for the entire semester. You'll come back to this over and over. It's the living expenses that you have for pre-retirement. This is in your Right Capital plan, so get familiar with where that is. In fact, I will jump into Right Capital here in just a second and see if I can log in, see if it will let me log in. I'm going to try to log in and just show you if I can. Actually, I'm going to get out of Right Capital for a minute because I don't want you to see all the people that I have listed. That's something I should never do because they're clients. So now I'm going to open up my Billy. Billy is my guy. Well, you'll learn about Billy when we do the Credit Crush assignment. I want you to know Billy. But Billy has a plan in Right Capital, and this is his plan. So whenever I want to show you something in Right Capital, I generally jump on over to Billy's. So this is what you should be seeing in when you log into Right Capital, this is what you should be seeing. And again, this is Billy Adams. Whoa, what did I just do? Hopefully I didn't go back to, I gotta, hold on. I gotta get ready to change. Yeah, there we go. We're still Billy. I don't know what happened there. So I want to show you just a couple of things. This is not critical yet for you. Um, it's just me showing you a little bit around Right Capital. So hope you enjoy. uh, so I want you to first just think about the navigation in Right Capital. Notice there are upper navigation tabs and lower. So when you click into one of these upper navigation tabs, like we're in the dashboard, there are three that I want you to pay close attention to. Dashboard is fine. Then retirement, this is one we will come back to multiple times throughout the semester. This link right here where it says retirement in the upper navigation. Notice every time we go to a different upper navigation tab, it opens up different lower navigation tabs. Okay, that's how this thing is structured. So I just want you to kind of get a big picture and then start to become familiar with this financial planning portal because it's super awesome. It is really awesome. And it's a premium financial planning portal. You don't have to use it after the course, but you do have to use it during the course. And it's really simple if you just think of it the way I'm going to break it out right now. So you've got those upper navigations, you got dashboard, and then kind of in the middle, you have retirement and retirement analysis. So it starts from the left and goes to the right, and you're going to see analysis. And these are the numbers we're going to be paying attention to. You'll also notice there are action items down there. And just FYI, when I'm working on a financial plan for a client, this is my workspace. This is where I go to get the majority of my quick calculations, to check them, to change them, to show what if scenarios. There's so much you can do right here in the action items. So I am not encouraging you to go play around with your financial plan. That could make things more difficult for you. You can do that after the semester, but for now, what I want you to do is be familiar with how to navigate. Notice when we go all the way to the right, upper navigation, all the way to the right, we go to profile. I just clicked on profile, and notice we have all these different lower navigation tabs now. Well, the net worth, that is uh, the net worth is another one of those really popular pages in your financial plan that you will come to a lot. This is where you could link your accounts. This is where you can add accounts like credit cards or investment accounts. So, this is a very important part of your financial plan, net worth. Uh, Now, I'm going to mention again, I got some emails from students, as I always do, who apparently didn't watch the lecture, and they're sending me emails letting me know how concerned they are about linking their accounts. And I'm like, you know what? I've already said it, and I'm going to say it again. I'll say it again. I don't care if you link your accounts or not. That's totally up to you. However, you should know, I feel like I should tell you that if you do link your accounts, if you decide you want to link your accounts, it's very easy. That makes this Right Capital financial planning portal something like mint.com, where you can aggregate all of your accounts into one place, which is a super cool tool. But I'm not trying to talk you into it. I'm just telling you what it is. If you decide you want to use the budgeting component in Right Capital, then you have to link your accounts. I don't care if you do it or not. You can use whatever tool you want for budgeting. Again, the expenses that I'm asking you to pay attention to, these expenses are, they're not your budget. They're So in Billy's plan, we use the simple approach, but I want you guys to use a detailed approach. So you can add categories, you can uh, make this your own, and it may look like a budget, but it's really just your expenses, and it will become more and more important. So I'm just showing you where that is right now. But I am saying also, if you decide you want to do your budget in here, um, you have to link your accounts. I'm trying. Oh, and then finally, over here, those three dots, I just clicked on those three dots. Just so you know, that's where you're going to manage your debt strategies. So we're not doing that for a couple of weeks, but just FYI, uh, Right Capital moved that recently. There used to be a tab that said credit, and it was easy to find. Now you have to click on those three dots. So please make a note of that. And if you can remember that, and maybe share it in GroupMe for students who are like, I can't find the credit. I know it's hard to find. It's almost impossible to find unless you know you have to click on those three dots, and it will take you right to the debt management section. And this is going to be a really important lesson, the debt strategies, which will become part of your assignment in the next couple of weeks. It's called the Credit Crush assignment, and we're going to get there. But that's a really important assignment. And this is the screen that you'll be playing with to change things. So, right now, if I go here just to show you, I have interest rates highest to lowest. I'm going to say same priority. Then I have to scroll down and hit save. or refresh rather. So when I do that, you're going to see that graph changes. And then if I change it again to highest to lowest, and I'm giving you a preview here. This is not this week's assignment. I'm just trying to show off what you have access to here in Right Capital. So see, that shows a ridiculous savings of $657 million, which you will learn soon that that's a ridiculous number. And there's a reason for that ridiculous number, but you need to know that that's a huge number. So if in your plan you happen to find these ridiculous big numbers, pay attention, because this is the most common reason for 50-point deductions on the capstone assignment. Because you look at that and, yeah, I saved $657 million, and you don't really convince me that you have a clue that $657 million is a ridiculous number. So we'll talk more about that multiple times throughout the semester. Before I end today, though, I want to take you to profile. This is important. This is part of this week's assignment, because I want you to change your birthday. I want you to make yourself 10 years older. You don't have to do it this week. It doesn't really matter if you do it this week, but I do want to set the table and talk about what we're going to do over the course of this semester as we build your comprehensive financial plan, as if you are 10 years older than you are. Okay. I just, again, I want you to trust me. Go with me at the end of the semester. You will continue to have access to Right Capital. You can go back and make any changes you want in your financial plan. I encourage you to do that. But for this semester, what I want to encourage you to do is just stick to what I instruct you to do so that you can do the lessons and learn the takeaways that I'm trying to teach you in each of these lessons. And that's coming. The first thing you have to do, though, is you go to family, and you'll notice you are the client. So this is Billy. And I want for Billy, for you, if you're Billy, I want you to change your birthday and make yourself 10 years older. Okay. So that's pretty simple, right? Once you've done that, you'll begin to see that as we're going to do some things in your financial plan where we're going to make the assumption that you've been doing these things for 10 years. For example, coming soon to a lesson near you, I'm going to say, okay, now it's time for you to add a few things to your financial plan. I'm going to ask you to go into debt in 3 different ways. One, I'm going to ask you to uh, buy a house. Number 2, I'm going to ask you to buy a car. Number 3, I'm going to ask you to use your credit card. So 3 different ways you're going to go into debt. But first, you're going to have to consider and think about and research uh, your dream job. Assuming you're 10 years down the road, you've graduated from college, you got a degree in your field of study, and now you're actually working in your dream job. That's what's coming. You're going to have to do some research to figure out, how much money am I going to make in that dream job? And where am I going to live? And once you start to develop that research, which should be very easy for you, I want you to dream a little bit, plan a little bit, pretend a little bit. So when you get to that point and you're like, okay, yeah, the job I want to have would pay me this much money, then I'm going to start giving you some assignments and say, okay, if you're making 100 grand, how much are you saving for retirement? If you're making 100 grand and you're living in zip code 77062 or wherever you're living, so that you can go to work at that job that you selected that you would like to have, you're going to have to assume and pretend these things. And then I'm going to ask you, okay, now tell me, do some research, find a house in that area, go out to Zillow and actually find a house and see how much it costs and figure out how much do you think you're going to have to spend on mortgage interest and other fees, because I want you to start to think about what it's actually going to cost you to live in the real world based on the make believe that you've already got that job and that you're 10 years older. So just trust me, I'm going to start giving you assignments, but it's all going to be premised on this idea that you're 10 years older. And that way, you start to see in much more real terms what your financial life and the trajectory of your financial choices will be. Okay. It's the only way I could come up with to take a lot of students in each cohort, many of which have no real life experience managing money. Okay, many of you, you may not know this about your cohort, but many of you spend very little money because you're getting your food paid for, you've got scholarships, you're not managing your money because your bills are being paid by someone else. That's the majority. And if it's not you, great, you're ahead of the game in terms of learning how to manage money. But what I'm trying to do is kind of set the table so that everybody gets to learn some really important lessons about managing money in the real world. And the only way I could come up with to do that in the most effective way for the most students is to let's play this game that you're 10 years older. So do that, change your birthday, and then you'll be 10 years older. And the things we start to do moving forward will make a little bit more sense. So, again, if you'll just trust me on that, I would appreciate it. Uh, and I think that's it. If you have questions, uh, so one thing I do want to mention before I go, and I'm going to see if I can find the group me. Oh, I do want to mention also, you will be doing a creditor list. So part of what I want you to do this week is put together a creditor list. If you have debts, a lot of students I found as teaching this course for many years, a lot of students have debt, but they don't know who they owe. They forget, oh, I have this creditor and I have this student loan and I have that student loan. And what I want you to have by the end of this week is a list of your creditors, who they are, how much do you owe them, when does that uh, when does that payment start, how much is that payment. It's your creditor list and it's spelled out in Canvas, but it's part of your assignment. So make sure you do that. Uh, let me see. I'm clicking through some things because, yep, you're going to get a free credit report. By the way, you'll notice when you jump into the assignment, if you please don't email me to tell me you don't have a social security number. If you don't have a social security number, you need to take option B and do the assignment, option B, for the students who don't have a social security number. So if you're a foreign student and you don't have a social security number, you won't be able to get a credit report. So you don't even need to try. Just do the alternate assignment and submit that, and you'll be fine. Please don't send me an email. If you do, I'm just going to say, watch the lecture. And that's going to be the email I send out from now on for students who ask me questions that I've covered at least once in the lectures. And clearly, a few students are sending me emails and they're not watching the lectures. So, for those of you who didn't send me that email, I appreciate you a lot. And for those of you who are asking questions in GroupMe, I really appreciate that. And even especially those of you who are answering questions in GroupMe, thank you. Grab screenshots of that and put it in your assignment. You never know, you might get a few extra points, but you'll definitely get the 200 points for class collaboration by helping out in GroupMe. I mean, that's huge bonus. I'm not saying you'll get more than 200 points, but you'll quickly earn and satisfy those 200 points. And I appreciate it a lot. And if you're asking questions, start in GroupMe. Don't send me an email. I'm not the first source of the answer to your question, please. If you can't get an answer in GroupMe, though, definitely hit me up. I'm still looking for that. No, not finding it. Okay. So I think that's it. I'm still looking, but I'm not seeing. I'm just looking to see if there's anything I want to cover before we go. Let me look at my list here. By the way, yeah, the playlist, the playlist is uhplaylist.com. This video will be in that playlist uh, as soon as I finish the live stream. This is where you're going to go to get your free credit report. Just so you know, this is annualcreditreport.com. You're going to click this little link, you will have to put in your social security number. And I do believe this is on the test. I told you there were 3 bureaus that provide free credit reports: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And there are others that do it as well. But this is your assignment. It's the main assignment. This and also your creditor list. So you're going to do the free credit report and you're going to do the creditor list. Um, there's the creditor list. You'll see that spelled out in the assignment instructions as well. So those are the 2 main things you're going to do this week. You can change your birthday and write capital and prepare yourself for what's coming. Thank you for those of you who signed up for Write Capital and are ready to go. We will be jumping in and moving forward quickly as we move forward through the semester. Couple of things coming up. We've got the credit report. Next week is the parental interview. We'll talk a little bit about that. Um, we'll talk about it next week. You'll get that assignment. It's one of my favorite assignments to grade. And then we'll jump right into the credit crush assignment. We'll focus a little bit on consumerism and how it affects how it affects college students especially. Um, and then I think bargaining and negotiating comes after we do the credit crush. And then we'll do a little bit of insurance review, which is not really all that fun. Could be its own course, but I included it. I'll just tell you, my hope is that I can teach you enough about insurance because it's such a big category in your budget. My hope is that I can teach you how to understand insurance sufficiently to become a good consumer of insurance. That's my hope. That's my goal. That's my target. And then we'll do the most popular topic of all, which is investing. I'll teach you how to invest. I'll teach you how to become a fearless investor because I'm going to teach you 4 investment strategies that are specifically designed to help you maximize returns and minimize risk at the same time. And these 4 investment strategies, it's diversification, asset allocation, dollar cost averaging, and portfolio rebalancing. I'm going to teach you by telling you stories and helping you understand how these 4 investment strategies work. They're designed again to help you maximize returns and minimize risk. You don't want to miss that lesson. It's, like I said, the most popular lesson. And then we'll move on into asset allocation. I'll show you how asset allocation, which by the way, is the single most important determinant of your portfolio's returns. Okay. There's no investment strategy that's really more important than asset allocation. So you're going to have to learn about asset classes like large cap stock, small cap stock, bonds, cash. You're going to learn about asset classes, and then I'm going to teach you how to do asset allocation because, again, it is the single most important determinant of your portfolio's returns, which is why it's one of the 4 investment strategies that I'm going to teach you. And then I'm going to show you how to use asset allocation correctly in the imaginary investment accounts that we build. Because remember, you're going to be 10 years older, which means you're going to have and be investing for those 10 years, make believe investing. But still, you're going to have these accounts, and I'm going to show you how to allocate your assets so that you get the best bang for your buck. So that's what's coming. And then after that, we'll do tax advantaged investing. Remember the 3 laws of personal finance. Uh, the second law of personal finance is the law of tax advantaged investing. The IRS makes the rules. Our job, my job, is to teach you how to take advantage of the rules, and I'll do that. And then you will actually do a homework assignment that puts that into practice in your plan and Write Capital. And then we'll finish up this semester with an assignment called the Blueprint for Financial Success, which is really just an opportunity for you to summarize for yourself and for me what you learned over the course of the semester. And it's also the assignment that if you want to receive credit for, most of you, by the way, won't even need this assignment. Because if you're taking advantage of the early assignments and you're getting those points, if you have 950 points, you've already earned an A in the course. And most of you, by the time we get to assignment, the blueprint assignment, you will not even need it. But those of you who do need the points, in this assignment, this is where you're going to take your spending over the course of the semester. And remember, you have to give me three things in this assignment. Number one is the data. I want to see all of your spending for the whole semester. If you're using your bank app, you're going to do fine. If you're using Excel, you're probably going to get deductions because I'm not going to believe when you send me your list of transactions that you got them all. I'm just not. You're going to have to work really hard to convince me that you captured all of your spending. It just doesn't work typically. But if you use a tool, spending app like your bank or mint.com or even Right Capital if you decide to link your accounts, and again, I'm not trying to talk you into linking your accounts in Right Capital, but I am trying to talk you into being as efficient as possible and being accountable for all of your spending. Because if you want points for this assignment, the blueprint, you're going to have to give me the data, number one. Number two, you're going to have to give me a categorized picture of your spending. So you're going to break out your spending into categories and create a graph. Super easy to do if you're using an app. It's easy to do if you're using Excel as well, if you know how to do that. And number three in this assignment, I want you to tell me what you learned over the course of the semester by being accountable for every penny you spent. What did you learn about your spending habits? That's what this assignment is. And then finally, the capstone assignment, which is worth 200 points. The capstone assignment is we don't have a final exam, we have a capstone. And this assignment is where we will take all of your assignments as you worked through Right Capital and building your financial plan. That's the focus of the capstone. You will take all of those elements of each of those lessons and assignments that you worked on, your plan in Right Capital, and you will put it all together in a capstone assignment. And that's worth 200 points, and it is required. So if you don't do the capstone, you don't pass the course. Finally, I want to just kind of mention that at some point, uh, I will I will be giving you the opportunity to request a tutorial. A tutorial is, hey, I want to make sure I have everything I need for my capstone assignment, and this is an opportunity for you to ask your questions so that those questions benefit the cohort. And what that means is you send me a request by email, and in that email you tell me that it's okay for me to use your plan to create a tutorial. Now, some of you are hesitant to do that because you don't want me to use your content in a live stream or in a lesson, and I get that. So I'm trying to figure out a better way to do this to give you the opportunity. So just keep that in mind, that as we move closer, as you go through each lesson and each assignment, you're going to have questions. You're going to have things that make more sense and things that don't make as much sense. And I want you to be asking me questions along the way. And I want to put together a tutorial. And I'll figure out a way to do that that accommodates whatever concerns you have about not sharing your data, although it is make believe data at this point. So it shouldn't be too personal and private. By the way, Right Capital never even captures your social security number ever. And you're making up your birthday. But anyway, we'll figure that out. But I just wanted to mention that as we get closer to the capstone assignment, which is worth 200 points, you'll be able to ask for help. Okay, I think that's going to do it for now. So I am going to jump over here and see if I got anything. I think I've got it all. Good luck on this week's assignment. free credit report. All right, I'm going to jump on over to YouTube and I'm going to do two things. I'm going to put this video into the playlist, and then I'm going to take the link to that video, this video, and I'm going to put it in this post. Because if you hit play right there, you'll see that it's a different video. It's from a different semester. So I'm just going to replace that real quick if I remember to do that. Have a great week. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.